Part 1. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1. In 1990, one night in early summer, a small town in Kangnan, Wenzhou. Zhang Chen, an artist from the Yongchengwu Opera Troupe, was sitting across from the owner of Chunping Photo Studio, drinking. Behind him was the scenery Zhang Chen had just painted for him, the coconut grove scenery of Hainan. The front door is open, and in front of it is a narrow and lively street. From time to time, groups of girls pass by the door. At this time, the boss will put two fingers into his mouth and say, "Whistle." The girls turned to look, giggling and passing by. Some of them turned around to look, but there was nothing going on. They were attracted by the scenery that Zhang Chen had just completed, and couldn't help but stop and stare at it. At this time, the boss would greet him warmly. Come in and see, this is the newest set." The brave ones were attracted by the painting and actually came in. They looked at it and praised it, and the boss shouted proudly, "Well, it was this great painter who painted it." The girls nodded quickly, then glanced at Zhang Chen with blushing faces, and timidly asked the owner and photographer of Chunping Photo Studio, when can they take pictures? Tomorrow will be enough, the real southern scenery, blue sea, blue sky, coconut breeze, yeah. In the end, the boss couldn't forget to add a strange scream, and the girls went out giggling, with their flowing hair, leaving a room full of delicious soap smell, and the two young men twitched their noses desperately to sniff. The boss looked at the scene behind him, picked up the wine glass, clinked it with Zhang Chen, then picked up the steamed dried squid on the table and bit it hard. "Painter Zhang, again, don't go back. Come with me to Wenzhou City. We will open an advertising company that will paint scenes for photo studios. Do you know how many photo studios there are in Wenzhou City? There are so many more. There are advertisements at the door of the hair salon, and I guarantee you will make a fortune within a year." The boss was eloquent. Zhang Chen smiled and was too lazy to talk to him. He picked up a dried shrimp from the table and ate it. "You only earn a few copper coins in the troupe. Look at your troupe. It's here today and there tomorrow. It sounds like you're doing art, but in fact it's just like being a beggar," the boss continued to encourage. Zhang Chen was unhappy when he heard this. He threw half of the shrimp on the table and cursed. "Damn it, I'm in a theater troupe. After all, it's a business establishment. Do you understand that it's an iron rice bowl? You're a peasant. You let me throw away my iron rice bowl and hang out with you self-employed people? You. What's wrong with the self-employed? Let me tell you, money is the king now. As long as you have money, you will get a golden job. Your broken iron bowl is nothing." The boss was not happy either. The two of them were swearing, drinking, and chatting. The boss would look back at the scenery from time to time and admired. "The painting is really good, exactly like the photo." Turning around, he looked at Zhang Chen and became angry again. "It's a pity that this man looks elegant, but he is just a blockhead and not enlightened." Zhang Chen heard this and ignored him. It was already dark, and the number of pedestrians on the street outside was gradually sparse. After the sound of the street collapsed, the sound of opera singers could be heard faintly from the stage in the ancestral hall at the other end of the town. Zhang Chen could tell. What was being performed on the stage now was 3 invitations to Fan Liwa. Tan Shahan's singing voice was so ups and downs that it really sounded better the farther away it was. Teacher Li from the troupe once said to the young students in the student class, "What is ecstasy? When you wake up in the morning and listen to Tan Shahan singing her voice downstairs, you will know what ecstasy is." As a result, many people were lying in bed early in the morning, listening to Tan Shahan babbling and hoarse in bed. The boss also listened attentively. After a while, he patted his thighs with both hands, then leaned over and asked Zhang Chen in a low voice. "Painter Zhang, tell me, how much does it cost me to have sex with this heroine of your group?" Zhang Chen hit the boss with the dried shrimp in his hand. This time he was really angry. Who the hum do you think you are? Get the hum out of here. The boss was stunned and was about to get angry. He looked up at Zhang Chen. Seeing that Zhang Chen was really angry, he actually became happy. Okay, brother, forget I made a mistake, come on, I'll punish myself with another drink. After a while, he saw Zhang Chen's complexion gradually improving, and couldn't help it anymore, so he asked again. Brother, is there a story between you and the heroine? She's my brother's girlfriend. The boss was relieved and sighed, I see, I didn't expect that Painter Zhang is still a kind and caring person. Come on, I'll toast to you, brother. The two of them picked up their wine glasses and drank it all in one gulp. A man hurried in from outside the door. When he saw Zhang Chen, he shouted. I knew you were here. He came over and didn't wait for the boss to invite him. He grabbed a stool and sat down. He took the beer bottle in front of Zhang Chen and took 2 sips. He put down the bottle and saw that the boss had opened another bottle. He did not return the wine to Zhang Chen, but paused in front of him. He reached out and picked up a dried shrimp and bit into it. Why are you here? If you don't want to help break up the trouble, aren't you going to have to change the scene at night? Zhang Chen asked. Transition? What transition? Aren't you going to perform in Pingyang tomorrow? Zhang Chen said. You can't act like shit, Lao Yang has escaped, the visitor shouted. Ah, what did you say? Zhang Chen was surprised and asked urgently. Old Yang, Captain Yang has escaped and is missing, the visitor shouted to Zhang Chen. When Zhang Chen heard this, he was about to get up, but was grabbed by someone. What are you doing? There is a chaos there. Come on, let's drink, who cares? The visitor raised the wine bottle, but Zhang Chen did not touch it. The visitor touched it with the owner of Chunping Photo Studio. The boss laughed loudly. Painter Zhang, did you see that? I was right. You don't have to go back. You'd better go to Wenzhou City with me. Why are you going to Wenzhou? The visitor asked curiously. Open an advertising agency and paint scenes, the boss said. Okay, take me with you, the person called. The boss squinted at him. You are useless, and you can't draw. You only know how to pick up women. I heard that when you pick up women, you use all kinds of rhetoric. In Taishan, you coaxed other women into throwing them away. Your husband and children are going to run away with you. Is this a problem? Who said that? The visitor looked at Zhang Chen and shouted, Lu Ligan, am I the kind of person who hooks up with married women? After Lu Ligan finished scolding, he glanced at Zhang Chen again. Zhang Chen scolded, look at what I'm doing. I didn't say anything. The boss also shouted, don't do other people's business, don't do the painter's business. Screenwriter Lu of Yongchengwu Opera Troupe is very famous in our Wenzhou. He knows how to pick up girls and has many fancy words. People say that when you sing for the dead, those words you made up on the fly can make a dead person jump out of his coffin. Zhang Chen just took a sip of wine, and when he heard these words, he spat out the wine with a pop sound. Zhang Chen, the artist of Yongchengwu Opera Troupe, and Lu Ligan, the screenwriter of Yongchengwu Opera Troupe, were drunk. When they returned to the ancestral hall where the performance was performed, it was already a mess. Tan Shahen, the leading actress of the troupe, did not even take off her makeup. Several local girls were still following her. Whenever they had the opportunity, they stretched out their hands to touch her colorful costumes enviously. Tan Shahen looked at the hem of her skirt. It was dragging in the mud and it was very inconvenient to walk, so I simply lifted up the hem of my skirt and said to them, hey, hold it for me. Several girls excitedly held up Tan Shahen's skirts and followed her inside and outside the ancestral hall like flower girls at a Western wedding. When Tan Shahen saw Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan coming back, She hurried over to greet them and cursed. "Where did you two go?" Someone gathered around and told them, "Lao Yang escaped. If you run away, run away." "I'm not the director of culture, so I can't control him," Zhang Chen muttered. Lu Ligan raised several plastic bags in his hand, which contained steamed dried squid, dried shrimps, and salted edamame, and waved them in front of Tan Shahen flatteringly. Tan Shahen was so angry that she waved her hand and tried to knock them down. There was someone nearby who had already had quick eyesight and quick hands, and snatched the food from Lu Ligan's hand. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2. Zhang Chen walked into the ancestral hall and saw a straw pile in the corner, so he walked over and lay down. The stage manager and props ran over and asked, "Zhang Chen, do you want to dismantle this set?" Zhang Chen said angrily, "Ask Lao Yang." The drama manager said urgently, "Old Yang has escaped." Zhang Chen woke up and remembered that the group leader had escaped, so Zhang Chen said, "Then ask Teacher Li." Teacher Li went to town to make phone calls, the stage manager said. "Then wait until he comes back." Zhang Chen turned over on the straw pile, "Or wait until I get some sleep." "Damn it, this one won't be dismantled until midnight again," the prop cursed. "I don't care anymore." Several young actors assigned by Tan Shahen to look for Captain Yang came back one after another. They said that they had searched all over the town and could not find Lao Yang. Tan Shahen saw a person cowering behind the crowd and hiding from her. Tan Shahen walked up to her and asked, "Where did Lao Yang go?" The girl shook her head like a rattle. "I don't know, Sister Zhen, I didn't see him." "Say," Tan Shahen raised her eyebrows and shouted sternly. The girl cried wow and told them that Lao Yang, Captain Yang, went to a factory in the town that made self-adhesive labels and became the deputy director. Lu Ligan perked up as soon as he heard this, and after asking which factory it was, he quickly called to a few martial arts students and said, "Come on, bring a rope, and let's tie this bastard back." A group of people booed and followed Lu Ligan away, but no one thought they should find the rope by themselves. After walking a short distance, Lu Ligan asked and found out that he didn't take the rope. "What the hell, Lao Yang is just like a chicken, and he's just carrying it back," someone shouted. A group of people continued to cheer. Tan Shahen walked back to the ancestral hall, and the children were still helping her hold up her skirt. When she saw Zhang Chen sleeping on the straw pile, she wanted to go over and kick him. After thinking about it, she walked behind the stage and started using it together. In the dressing room enclosed by a curtain, the children wanted to follow them in, but she kept chasing them away. She walked in and took off her outer costume. She was wearing a pair of poplin bloomers underneath and a red t-shirt on top. She sat down and was about to take off her makeup when she heard Feng Logui, who played Xue Dingshan, shouting, "Teacher Li is back." Tan Shahen stood up quickly, still wearing Fan Liwa's makeup, opened the curtain, and almost bumped into Xue Dingshan. "Where is Teacher Li?" Tan Shahen asked Feng Logui. Before Feng Logui opened his mouth, Teacher Li came in from the outside, followed by a large group of people. Tan Shahen hurriedly stepped forward and asked, "How's it going?" "After several bureau chiefs failed to find it, we found Director Ding. He asked us to stay on standby and said we would ask the bureau chief for instructions tomorrow," Teacher Li said. "Are you still going to Pingyang?" "Director Ding just said to stay put." Someone shouted, "The pole is back." As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ligan led someone in from the outside. Before Tan Shahen and the others could ask, he shouted, "Lao Yang, that bastard, has already taken a long-distance bus to Sichuan." "Did he really become the deputy director of that factory?" someone asked. "Yes, the deputy director in charge of supply and marketing. People say he can speak Mandarin and speaks well. He is a rare talent and was hired with a lot of money," Lu Ligan shouted. "Mom, what should we do?" "Yes, Are you going to Pyongyang tonight? Everyone was talking in different directions. Teacher Lee raised his voice and told everyone, just now, I contacted Director Ding from the County Cultural Bureau office. Director Ding ordered us to stay where we are. You humming idiot, if you want, let him come over, dismantle the equipment, load the truck, and let's go. Zhang Chen woke up at some point and shouted loudly. Everyone was stunned. Zhang Chen shouted at the stage manager and the others, don't you think it's too late to dismantle the stage? Why don't you do it? Dismantle the stage and load it into the car. Ask the driver to call a car for us. Where to go after loading the car? Pyongyang, Lu Ligan asked. Go home, Zhang Chen glared at Lu Ligan, the captain has escaped. If we don't go back, we will wait here to die. Are you crazy? More than 600 kilometers? Long distance, Lu Ligan shouted. Yongcheng is in the mountainous area of western Zhejiang, and Wenzhou is on the southeastern coast of Zhejiang. The two places are more than 600 kilometers apart. At that time, there was no expressway from Wenzhou to Yongcheng, and they were all national highways. When passing through Qingtian County, it was still jammed day and night, and there would be traffic jams every day. The traffic jam lasted for several hours. It basically took more than 10 hours to walk from Kangnan to Yongcheng, but it was still smooth. Lu Ligan's meaning was very obvious, that is, if there were two cars on such a long journey and the group leader was missing, who would pay for the travel expenses? Zhang Chen took out a wad of money from his jeans pocket, which was just given to him by the owner of Chunping Photo Studio. Zhang Chen gave it to Lu Ligan and said to him, I only have these, all my possessions, not enough for you to figure out your own solution. Okay, Lu Lipol took the money and ran out. Everyone cheered, okay, I'm home. After everyone ran away, only Teacher Li and Tan Shahen were left standing. Tan Shahen looked at Teacher Li, and Teacher Li sighed and said, it's better to go back. If you keep doing it, don't even lose the travel expenses back. Yongchengwu Opera Troupe's 3-month tour in Wenzhou has ended in less than a month. A local drama troupe at the county level. It is said that it is a touring performance, which is really a bit pretentious and a bit reporting. In fact, they are similar to the folk grass troupe. When they go to the place, they will perform everything, weddings and funerals. As long as someone invites them, they will appear. If there was no suitable play, we would make up lyrics on the spot and incorporate the names of the parties involved into the play. This is what Lu Ligan is best at. He can force things together that cannot be put together, and he can do it in a very orderly manner. People in the audience can either laugh or cry and wipe away their tears. Or purse your lips, and then see the person involved in real life moving, or the body lying there, it feels like a lifetime ago, and you can't tell the difference between the inside and outside of the play. Therefore, those who hold weddings especially like to invite the Yongchengwu Opera Troupe. The Yongchengwu Troupe has activities in the Wenzhou area almost every year. Over time, it has become somewhat famous, especially the 3 people in the troupe. One is the screenwriter Lu Ligan mentioned earlier, and the other is the artist Zhang Chen, the set designer and the dead man. The portraits, are well drawn, and as soon as his scenery is put on the stage, the difference between the Yongchengwu Opera Troupe and those grass stage troupes becomes apparent. The last one is the leading actress Tan Shahen, who not only sings well but is also beautiful. The performance market is sluggish, and the daily life of the troupe is very difficult. When they arrive, they can't even afford a hotel. After the performance, they clean the stage or underneath, and put a piece of cloth in the middle, with men on one side and women on the other. Make the floor. Now that I heard that I could go home, everyone was naturally very happy. Although life at home was difficult, at least they had a bed to sleep on and hot food to eat. Almost everyone came over to help dismantle the stage and load the truck, roll the curtains into bundles, and props. The costumes were packed into large wooden boxes and loaded into the truck. Half of the truck compartment contained props and scenery, and the other half was for people. More than 600 kilometers and more than 10 hours, sitting in the back is not only exposed to the wind and sun, but also the buttocks must be able to withstand long-distance bumps. If it is not going home, no one wants to endure such torture. After loading the car, everyone stood under the car. Lou Ligon arranged for teacher Lee and an older piano player to sit in the cab of the second car, and arranged for Tan Shahan to go to the cab of the first car, with Su Jianmei beside him. When I saw it, I couldn't help but snorted. Su Jianmei and Tan Shahan came from the same student class, but they were always overshadowed by Tan Shahan. The small theater troupe did not have any A or B roles. Anyway, if they acted in The Legend of White Snake, Tan Shahan would definitely play the role of Bai Sohan, and Su Jianmei would definitely play the role of Xiao Qing. Unless Tan Shahan I can't go on stage because I'm sick. Everyone watched with envy as Tan Shahan climbed into the cab. Someone thought that in addition to the driver, a cab could also accommodate 2 people. The man followed and wanted to go over, but Lu Lepol grabbed him. The man was about to get angry when he saw the cab door open. Tan Shahan jumped out, her face flushed. She walked up to Lu Ligon, raised her hand and slapped him, cursing. Rogue. Everyone laughed. Tan Shahan walked to the back compartment and climbed in. Zhang Chen looked at Lu Ligon, who smiled bitterly. Don't you have enough money? I promised to arrange for a beautiful woman to sit in the cab. Zhang Chen knew it was not that simple and asked. What else did you promise? Lu Ligon hesitated for a long time and muttered, I promised to let him touch me once, just once. Everyone laughed. Zhang Chen shook his head. You deserve it, you deserve a beating. Lu Ligon looked at the truck compartment. Tan Shahan had already sat down among the props. Lu Ligon looked at the crowd again and shouted. Which of you still has money in your pocket? Take it out. Everyone stepped back, and someone shouted, who will have money in their pockets if they haven't been paid for several months? Lu Ligon became anxious. Damn it, then we won't be able to leave today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 3. Lu Ligon saw Su Jianmei standing aside with a look of disdain on his face. He hurried over, clasped his hands and bowed to her. Sister, help brother, you go and sit in the driver's cab. No, Su Jianmei snorted, you can't call your own girlfriend, why should I help you? Lu Ligon glanced at the truck compartment, leaned close to Su Jianmei's ear and whispered. How can that coffin board of hers compare with yours? Who doesn't know that you are the one who conquers the country? Su Jianmei burst into laughter. Lu Ligon took a look and knew something was going on, so he quickly added. Help, 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 or we won't be able to go back. Someone on the side also cheered, yeah, it's great to have a cab to sit in. The wind can't blow and the sun can't shine. The most important thing is that the moon doesn't provide sunlight. People get dark the fastest under the moon. Pole, please tell the driver how about I sit in the cab. I have tender skin and tender flesh, Feng Logui shouted. Get out, get the hell out of here, Lu Ligon cursed while looking at Su Jianmei. Su Jianmei hesitated, pursed her lips, looked above her head, then at the cab, and finally asked. Where did he touch? What if? Hand. Just touch it? Just a moment, just a moment. When you're done, just wash your hands. Su Jianmei was moved, but she was too embarrassed to walk over. Lu Li pushed her with a pole and shouted. For everyone, to go home, and to help your brother, as long as we return to Yongcheng, you can enjoy the good food and drink. He opened the cab door and coaxed and pushed Suji and me into the cab. The door on this side had just closed, and the door on the other side opened again. The driver jumped out, waved to Lu Ligan, and Lu Ligan ran over quickly. "Didn't we say it was Bai Sohan? Why is it Xiao Qing?" the driver said dissatisfied. "You, Bai Sohan has already touched her. Isn't it worthwhile to give you Xiao Qing again?" Lu Ligan scolded. The driver became anxious. "As soon as I reached out my hand, she knocked it away and I didn't even touch it." "That's not it, her hand touched your hand." The driver was stunned for a moment, then shouted, "It doesn't count, this doesn't count." Come on," Lu Ligan put his arm around the driver's shoulders and walked a little further. Lu Ligan said, "It's inconvenient for Bai Sohan to sit in the cab today. You don't think it's unlucky to sit in the driver's cab? Also, look. Isn't this little King Pio pretty?" The driver murmured, "It's pretty, after all. Are your hands white? Didn't you say that you have never touched hands with such fine skin and tender flesh in your life? You didn't say that they were Bai Sohan's hands." "But we agreed." Lu Ligan leaned down to the driver's ear and whispered, "This Xiao Qing is not only beautiful, but also younger than Bai Sohan. You made a lot of humming money today." The driver was a little excited and hesitated. Lu Ligan waved his hand, forget it, I'll ask her to come down and give you more money. It just so happens that there is a tuberculosis patient who has been coughing badly in the past 2 days, so I asked him to sit in the cab." When the driver heard this, he ran back quickly, "Forget it, Xiao Qing is Xiao Qing, that's it." Lu Ligan quickly greeted everyone who was still standing under the car, "Get in the car and get in. We will drive soon. If you don't want to leave, don't leave." Everyone cheered and quickly climbed into the truck compartment. The 2 cars swayed under the dim street lights at the entrance of the ancestral hall and plunged into the night. Yongchengwu Opera Troupe is built at the foot of Qingnu Mountain by excavating the mountain and building hammocks. Going up from a semicircular steep slope, there are only 3 houses, 2 large and 1 small, in the whole yard. They are all old buildings from the 1970s. One of them has the 1-story house was similar to the popular city hall at that time, with a single floor of more than 300 square meters. The large hall was the troupe's practice room, rehearsal room, and warehouse. The scenery and boxes of costumes and props were stacked up, occupying one end of the house. On the pine floor at the other end, a stage shape was drawn with red paint. It was regarded as a rehearsal room. In the middle of the house, a large piece of paved carpet from an unknown age and an indistinguishable color could be regarded as a practice room. During the rehearsal, there were martial arts students and young students in the middle, doing somersaults and somersaults on the exercise mat. The actors who had not had their turn to come on stage were practicing their steps and reciting their lines here. It was noisy and lively, but everyone was used to it. Can be achieved without affecting each other. The other building is a 4-story building. The structure of the building is very simple. When you enter the door, you are facing the stairs. On both sides of the stairs are corridors. On both sides of the corridor, there are rooms. Each room is the same size and has 10 rooms. 2 square meters, with more than 20 rooms on each floor. Except for 3 offices on the first floor, the rest are dormitories. The entire group lives in this building. The students in the student class have bunk beds, with 8 people in each room. The general cast and crew also have bunk beds with 4 or 2 people in one room. The main members of the troupe, such as Zhang Chen, Lu Ligan, Tan Shahen, and Su Jianmei, have 1 room per person. If both parents have no children, they will live in 1 room. If they have 2 earners and have children, no matter how many children there are, they will live in 2 rooms. There are no toilets or kitchens in the whole building. Every household sets a table at the door, puts a kerosene stove, and cooks in the corridor. The corridor is not wide in the first place, because these tables, plus the year round it becomes dark and narrow due to the smoky fire. When someone passes by, the person who is cooking must stop what he is doing, stand with both hands, and let others pass by first. The remaining small house is located between the dormitory and the practice room. It is 78 to 80 square meters. Half of it is a public toilet, divided into men's and women's toilets, and the other half is the canteen. Those young students who are not worthy of having a kerosene stove or are too lazy to cook singles, just eat here. Lou Ligon has a famous saying. He said that the smell is the same on both sides of the house, and sometimes the right side smells better than the left side. On the right is the public toilet. Next to this house, there is a terrazzo pool with 7 or 8 faucets. All the cast, crew, and family members of the ensemble are here to wash vegetables, dishes, clothes, face, brush teeth, and wash toilets and spittoons. In front of the building is a courtyard of about 100 square meters. There is a camphor tree and a tallow tree in the yard. The tallow tree is charming in spring and summer, but sad in autumn and winter. Because the troupe is on Jiufang at the foot of the mountain, half of the people in Yongcheng County can see the Wu opera troupe when they raise their heads. This half of the people can also see Tan Shahen and others standing in the distance among the camphor and tallow trees every morning. Down, babbling and hoarse. On days when the babble is no longer heard, the residents of Yongcheng County know that the troupe is out on tour again. This time, nearby residents felt a little strange. Yesterday evening, they clearly saw 2 trucks swaying onto the Jiufang area of Wu Opera Troupe. After unloading, the 2 trucks swayed down the semicircular ramp. So everyone knew that the troupe was back. But early the next morning, the early risers sat down on the briquette stove to cook rice, squeezed out toothpaste, and were about to brush their teeth while shaking their heads to the sounds of Tan Shahen and others. They waited for a long time but heard no sound, so some couldn't help it and walked to the window facing the Wu Opera Troupe. Some walked to the corridor and the stairs. Not only did they not hear the sound, they even heard the sound under the camphor and tallow trees. No one was seen either. Not only did they not see anyone, they saw that the prop boxes piled up like a hill in the yard after unloading the truck yesterday evening were still piled there. What's going on here? Soon, the whole Yongcheng knew that something had happened to the Wu Opera Troupe and their leader had escaped. Some people said that they were picked up by the Wenzhou boss in 5 cars, and some said that they eloped with an actress from the theater troupe. No, someone said authoritatively, I have counted the actors in the troupe, and they are all back. Where did the leader go? The person next to me asked curiously. Well, he was kept by a widow from Wenzhou. The Pentium era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 4. Zhang Chen slept until he was a little hungry. He woke up in a daze and looked up from the pillow. In a plastic basket on the table, there were flatbread and fried dough sticks. This was breakfast left for him by his girlfriend. Already gone to work. Zhang Chen's girlfriend Jin Lily is not from their troupe, but his junior high school classmate and the cashier of Yongcheng Bearing Factory. Although Zhang Chen was hungry, he was too lazy to get up, so he fell down and continued to sleep. When he woke up again, he was awakened by the sound of knives cutting chopping boards and spoons scraping iron pots in the corridor, as well as the smoke coming in from the cracks in the door and the transom above the door. The smell is so refreshing. Zhang Chen was hesitating whether to get up or sleep for a while when he heard someone shouting from upstairs to downstairs. Go to the practice room for a meeting right away. After a period of hustle and bustle in the corridor, it suddenly became quiet. Zhang Chen muttered, you. He turned his head and prepared to take advantage of this quiet time to sleep for a while, but the door was banged and Lu Ligan shouted outside the door. Zhang Chen, it's a meeting, it's a meeting. Zhang Chen shouted angrily, you, don't go. Lu Ligan continued to knock on the door, I've been waiting for you. Teacher Li asked me to call you. Zhang Chen had no choice but to get up. He put a towel on his shoulders, squeezed a piece of toothpaste on his toothbrush, and went downstairs with Lulipole. When they arrived downstairs, they saw several young students carrying the prop box. Luligan asked what they were doing. The young student said, "Teacher Li asked us to carry it in." Zhang Chen walked to the sink, turned on the faucet, bent his head under the faucet, took a mouthful of water, squirted twice, spit it out, and started brushing his teeth. Teacher Li came out of the practice room and saw the two of them. Teacher Li shouted, "Oh, why don't you brush your teeth? The leaders are waiting. Come in quickly." He turned around and shouted to the young students, "Hurry up and be gentle when you go in." Zhang Chen foamed at the mouth and asked slurred words. "What kind of meeting is being held at this time? Are they in charge of the food?" Teacher Li looked around, moved closer, and lowered his voice and said to them, "It's not a meeting, it's a working group here to meet everyone. Please hurry up." "Boring," Zhang Chen cursed vaguely. Lu Li was wearing a pair of flip-flops. While Zhang Chen was brushing his teeth, he rolled up his trousers, put one foot into the sink, turned on the faucet, finished one, and then flushed the second. When Teacher Li saw this, he quickly went to pull him. "Don't rush, the leaders are really waiting." Lu Ligan said nonchalantly, "I washed it just so I could see the leader. Didn't you see my dusty feet?" "Teacher Li, let me tell you, the mud just washed away from my feet is still the mud from Kangnan, Wenzhou. Alas, I wonder if they will be acclimatized when they arrive in Yongcheng." Zhang Chen's mouth was full of foam, he spat into the pool, rinsed his mouth clean, and said, "Tan Shahen is so careless that she wants you to go to bed. Hey, I'm still angry. I went home last night." "That's right," Zhang Chen cursed. "Hey, you're being unreasonable. With just the little money you have, how can I go back to Yongcheng instead of me?" Lu Ligan shouted. Zhang Chen glared at him, "It's just that little money. That's my damn hard work for 4 nights. By the way, Teacher Li, did you ask the working group to reimburse me for this money?" Teacher Li didn't say anything, he smiled and said, "Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up." After saying that, he turned around and walked towards the practice room. "Old slippery man," looking at his back, Lu Ligan cursed. After washing his face, Zhang Chen wrung the towel dry and put it on his shoulders again, and then the two of them walked towards the practice room. In the practice room, where the stage shape was drawn, there were 2 tables, which were formally covered with a dark red gold velvet cloth. Behind the tables, 3 people were sitting, one of whom was from the propaganda department of the county party committee. Among the department members, Lao Hu, one is Deputy Director Tang of the County Cultural Bureau, and the other is Ding Begu, the Director of the Cultural Bureau office. Half of the people below were sitting on the exercise mat, and the other half were standing in 2s and 3s. When they saw Zhang Chen and Lu Lipole coming in, Teacher Li, who was standing in front of the rostrum, leaned a little closer. Director Ding said, "Everyone is here." Director Ding coughed twice, looked at the people below and didn't respond, and coughed twice more. When it got quiet down below, Director Ding first introduced the 3 working group members on the stage, including himself, and then took the lead in drumming. "Pom comes." It was sparsely located down there, but someone took care of it a few times. Director Ding moistened his throat and began to say, "The county government attaches great importance to what happened to your troop. It believes that this is a serious incident and ordered the formation of this working group to station in your troop." Before Director Ding finished speaking, Zhang Chen shouted, "What happened to our theater troupe?" "It's a serious incident. The leader ran away." "Then you should arrest the leader. Why are you looking for us?" Teacher Li wanted to stop him, but it was too late. The 3 people on the stage looked at Zhang Chen and frowned in unison. They all knew Zhang Chen and knew that he was a famous thorn in the troupe. In a small place, A person with real ability really has the capital to be awesome, because if he gives up his job, you really can't find anyone else to replace him, and he really doesn't have any worries if he leaves you. Eat. Director Ding bit the bullet and decided to kill this guy first. He pretended not to recognize him and asked, "You are Zhang Chen, the artist of the troupe, right?" Zhang Chen said disdainfully, "Don't you know what my name is and what I do? I mean, what are you pretending to be?" Someone was laughing below. Director Ding's face turned slightly red. He looked at Lao Hu and Director Tang, both of whom were sitting expressionlessly. Director Ding said, "Okay, let's understand one thing first. Did I ask you to stay where you were the night before yesterday? Why did you come back without permission? I heard that you were still the leader." "Yes, that's right, I'm the one who asked everyone to come back," Zhang Chen said calmly without fear. "You asked us to stay where we are, then I ask you, where do so many people live and where do they eat? We are in Kangnan, the performance is over, and they won't provide a venue for us to put costumes and props anymore, right? Director Ding, what do you think we should do?" "Yes, what should we do?" Lu Ligan also shouted. "Stay where you are, and the organization will naturally find a solution," Director Ding said sternly. "What can we do?" The performance in Pingyang was all discussed by Captain Yang. He left without any explanation. "Who should we go to? There are so many people staying in Kangnan. If one more person gets lost or something happens, who will be responsible?" "Director Ding, are you responsible? Now, we have brought everyone back safely, not a single prop is missing, not a single piece of clothing is missing, what else have we done wrong?" Zhang Chen asked aggressively, but his words were reasonable. Director Ding's face turned blue and white, and Lu Ligan shouted, "Yes, Zhang Chen paid for the travel expenses. What do you care about? Let us stay there and drink the northwest wind. We haven't been paid for 3 months, and you still want us to insist on it? Are you embarrassed? Director Tang is here. Director Tang, tell us when will our wages be paid?" "That's right, no matter when it is announced, the family won't be able to open the door. Did you taint our wages?" Everyone was talking about it, and soon the focus turned to wages, and the target was Deputy Director Tang. Seeing that Director Tang could no longer resist, Lao Hu had to hastily announce the end of the meeting. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 5. The 3 members of the working group retreated to the office in a state of embarrassment. Teacher Li went to the cafeteria, called out a young student, took out 10 yuan from his pocket, and asked him to go to the small restaurant below to cook 3 dishes. "Would you like some wine?" the student asked. Teacher Li thought for a while and said, "Forget it." Lu Lizan was squatting at the entrance of the cafeteria to eat, holding an enamel bowl. When he saw this scene, he asked, "Why, Teacher Li, you don't let the leaders come to our cafeteria to visit the poor and ask about their sufferings?" Go, go, Teacher Li scolded. He looked to the left and right and saw that no one was there. He lowered his voice and said to Lu Ligan, "Look at the situation like this. The working group plans to deal with Zhang Chen seriously. I'm going to find a way to suppress it. Do you understand?" "How dare he?" Lu Ligan got angry when he heard this, and poured half a bowl of rice into the swill bucket at the door. "I'll go find them." Teacher Li quickly pulled Lu Ligang back. No, don't be troublesome, I can't do it here, why don't you go make trouble again? Then tell them, if they dare to touch a hair of Zhang Chen, I will pluck out all the hair on their bodies," Lu Ligan said fiercely. Teacher Li burst into laughter. "Forget it, you can't kill pigs and pluck their hair. You are neither Lutetia nor Black Tornado. You have indulged your taste buds, so forget it. I am Lao Tang, but you are a serious person, demobilized soldier." After saying that, Teacher Li patted Lu Ligan's shoulder hard twice more, and then left. After entering the door, Teacher Lee did not go to the office, but went to the second floor. When he returned home, he took out a bottle of Yang Hideko from the cabinet during the Spring Festival last year, and walked out. When my wife saw it, she was dissatisfied and said, "I feed the dog another bottle of wine from home." Teacher Lee glanced at her, didn't bother to argue with her, and went downstairs. When he arrived at the office, Teacher Lee pushed the things on the two old desks that were put together against the wall, then raised his arm, wiped the table with his sleeve, and found 3 enamel teacups. Put the vats in front of 3 people, open the bottle caps, and divide a bottle of wine equally among the 3 tea vats. Deputy Director Tang looked at the cup in front of him and asked, "Lao Li, don't you want some?" Teacher Lee smiled and pointed at his throat, and the 3 of them nodded as if they had realized something, knowing that his singing voice could not tolerate drinking. After a while, a young practitioner came in carrying a tray with 3 plates of food and a handful of change. Teacher Lee put the dishes on the table and asked, "Did you eat anything secretly on the way?" The little student's face was red, his mouth was pursed, and he kept shaking his head. After setting the dishes and putting the change in his pocket, Teacher Lee remembered and asked, "Where's the food?" "Oops, I forgot," the little student shouted, opening his mouth with pig liver shavings still on his teeth. Teacher Lee took out 2 cents from his pocket and said, "Go quickly and get another 2 cents for food." The student turned around to go out, but Teacher Lee stopped him again and took the 2 cents back from his hand. "Go to the cafeteria and ask them to make some soup." After having enough wine and food, we started to talk about work. Director Ding picked his teeth with a match and said to Teacher Lee, "Old Lee, the 3 of us had an urgent discussion earlier. We feel that the troop is now leaderless and scattered. The top priority is to appoint a new leader immediately." "Yes, yes, the leader is wise," Teacher Lee kept nodding. Director Ding looked at Lao Hu and Director Tang and stopped talking. Director Tang took over the conversation. "Lao Li, you are also a Lao Wu opera actor. After discussion, the 3 of us feel that from all aspects, you are the most suitable to serve as the leader of the group. Of course, our suggestion must be approved by the Bureau Party Committee in the end." Teacher Lee jumped up when he heard this. No. This director, no, I can't be the group leader. I'm just an opera singer. You can ask me to take care of the little students, but I can't be the group leader. Don't be modest. Anyone who is born to be a leader has learned bit by bit on the job." Old Hu said sincerely, "When an organization supports you, you will be more courageous." No, I won't do it. I won't do it no matter what the leader says. I still want to live a few more years." Teacher Lee kept shaking his head. Director Ding was a little unhappy. "Old Lee, what you said is too much. Being the leader means the organization trusts you. Why, how can you say that becoming the leader will shorten your life by a few years?" Teacher Lee's face turned pale. Other than saying no, he didn't even know how to refuse. The 3 of them took turns to fight, talking rationally and emotionally, and talked till they were dry. Teacher Lee would not let go. Deputy Director Tang couldn't hold his face anymore. He put the teapot on the table and shouted, "Old Lee, you are also an old comrade. Although you are not a party member, you still have to talk about organizational principles, right? You always understand that subordinates obey their superiors. An old comrade must not only be qualified in business, but also have strict requirements in politics. You can't take the trust placed in you by the organization and your superiors as nothing." Teacher Lee was also completely anxious and told the truth. "Okay, boss, I bought the food today with my own money, and this wine was given to me by my son-in-law. I couldn't bear to drink it. I brought it out to entertain you, because I know that you are likely to destroy my army, and I will die. If you ask me to be the leader, I really can't bear it." After Teacher Lee finished speaking sadly, he stumbled out the door, went upstairs, returned home, fell on the bed and cried loudly. After a while, Teacher Lee's wife stumbled downstairs. As she walked, she raised her voice and cried and sang. Which of the murderers wants to push my old man into the pit of fire? My old man is so pitiful. He is an honest man. You all come out to judge. Why do you want him to be the leader? Oh my God. Why are you so unfair to honest people? You can't let my poor old man go. The entire theater troupe was crying and went to the corridor on the first floor. When Mrs. Lee arrived at the door of the office, she saw 3 people sitting inside, looking at her awkwardly. Mrs. Lee did not go in, so she sat on the ground at the door and beat her chest with her hands. Beating the sky and continuing to cry and sing, the 3 of them were trapped in the office by her, almost suffocating to death. The seaweed and egg drop soup in the theater canteen is still good. Yongcheng County originally had 2 theater troupes, a Wu opera troupe and a Yu opera troupe. However, the performance market has continued to be sluggish in recent years. Both troupes cannot make ends meet, and the entire cultural system's total funds cannot support them. Yongcheng's economy was considered medium-sized in Zhejiang at that time, and there were several large-scale enterprises in the area. However, these enterprises were all state-owned enterprises, either from the province or the ministry. They were rich or not, but they were not even close to the county. Money relationship. The government revenue of Yongcheng County is only enough to pay even the salaries of government officials for 10 months. There are still 2 months left, so the secretary and county magistrate have to borrow money from the richer brother counties to survive. How could they have more money to support the troupe? In the end, they had no choice but to ask the Provincial Department of Culture for approval and decided to abolish a troupe. Considering that there were so many Yu opera troupes in Zhejiang at that time, not only in every county in Shaoxing, but also in many counties in other regions. Townships and private organizations also organized many of their own. In the provincial capital, in addition to the provincial Yu Opera Theater, there are 2 Yu Opera troupes in Hangzhou, and there is also the Xiaobeiwa Yu Opera troupe, which was mainly composed of young actors and was very popular at the time. As for Wu Opera, apart from the Zhejiang Wu Opera troupe in Jinhua City, the only officially established county-level theater troupe is the Yongcheng Wu Opera troupe. The county waited again and again, and finally decided to keep the Wu Opera troupe and lay off the Yu Opera troupe. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 6. It has been more than 2 years since the Yu Opera troupe was announced to be disbanded, and there are still a lot of problems left. The leaders of the county and the Cultural Bureau get dizzy when they hear the word Yu Opera troupe. First of all, people cannot be arranged. The people in the troupe are generally not well educated, but they are all employees of the enterprise. If you want to arrange the laid-off people to the enterprise, they can die on the spot for you to see, but in a county, where can such people come from? Even if there are many public institutions, what can these people do if they are gone? Every department is pushing, but it doesn't mean that these people are not professionally qualified. You can't arrange opera singers and erhu players to seismological stations, weather stations, and epidemic prevention stations, right? That is to say, my unit has been overcrowded for a long time, and there are still several people in the unit waiting for the indicator to turn positive. The county leaders had no choice but to issue harsh orders to wipe everyone's butts themselves and let the cultural system solve the problem on its own. How to solve the cultural system? Go to Xinhua bookstore to sell books, go to movie theaters to sell tickets, go to libraries and cultural centers to do sanitation. The theater troupe has nearly 100 people. How can we need so many people just to do these, not to mention that people may not be willing to do it, and they feel like they are just a role when there is no acting. If you don't want to, just put it off. Until now, half of the people have not been assigned their jobs. Several directors of the Cultural Affairs Bureau have been troubled by this. Even the Cultural Management Committee, which has only one establishment, has never had a director go there before. Directors often come there and complain, "Why haven't you made any major discoveries here recently?" In the countryside of Yongcheng, in 1971, experts from the Institute of Paleoanthropology, Chinese Academy of Sciences and the Zhejiang Provincial Museum unearthed an ancient human tooth fossil. After identification, this human tooth fossil was about 50,000 years old and was called the Chinese Academy of Sciences officially named him Yongcheng people. Yongcheng man is an ancient human fossil of the new Homo stage first discovered in Zhejiang province. Since then, Zhejiang's history has advanced by more than 40,000 years, and Yongcheng has become the source of Zhejiang's history. Therefore, there is such a cultural management committee crowded in the cultural center. Xiao Xing of the Cultural Management Committee certainly knows what the director means by this. If there is another project like this, the people from the theater troupe can be arranged to dig ancient tombs. It lasted for a year and a half, and all I received were special funds from the state. Xiao Xing pointed to a row of incomplete clay pots in the glass cabinet behind him, and joked with the director. Or, should I bury these underground and discover them again? Digging won't work, but I can still bury them. The director laughed and went out. With this smile, he felt a little more relaxed. These people have no work arrangements, but their wages must not be less, their medical expenses must be reimbursed, and the Cultural Bureau has no money, so they go to the Cultural Bureau on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th, and the county government on the 24th and 6th. They block the doors of the bureau chief and the county magistrate and sing ancient songs. Nowadays, there are one play after another. On these days every week, if the secretary had something to do, he would stand in front of the window and watch. When he saw a large group of people coming in at the gate, talking and laughing, he hurried to the county magistrate's office. "No matter what, if anyone else is here, tell him, the leader, to go investigate, they are already waiting." At that time, the county government compound was not as majestic as it was later. There was only an old man guarding the door. On sunny days, nearby residents could come to the trees in the yard to hang up ropes to dry quilts, and nearby farmers could come to the yard. On the concrete floor inside, rice is being dried. As soon as the county magistrate heard what the secretary said, he understood that it was someone from the opera troupe. He kept calm and pretended to just remember it and said, "Oh, okay, right now." The two people left the office and went down the stairs at the far side of the government building. The army of the opera troupe was coming up majestically from the main stairs. Teacher Li's wife was still crying and singing. Lao Hu, Deputy Director Tang and Director Ding were sitting there. Whenever they thought about the Wu opera troupe taking the path of the opera troupe, their heads would get even bigger. They thought that they might as well do it earlier. Find a reason and get over it. The selection of the leader of the Yongcheng Wu opera troupe has now become a top priority for the Yongcheng County Cultural Bureau and the working group. Several directors have held several meetings for this purpose. They found another old actor in the troupe and talked with the drummer. When the actor heard about this, he got up and left. Director Ding Bega called from behind, hey, why are you leaving?" The other party said, "I will call my old woman, she is also very good at crying." Director Ding quickly grabbed him and told him, "Forget it." Then I talked to the drummer. The drummer sat in front of the drum and kept beating. The three people stood beside him and talked earnestly for a long time. He didn't seem to hear anything. He didn't say a word, and didn't even look at the three people. He just focused on beating the drum. This knocking lasted all afternoon. Deputy Director Tang couldn't hold himself any longer and cursed fiercely, okay, you damn old man, you're damn smarter than my former recruit Danzi." The drummer looked at the backs of the three people leaving the practice room, smiled proudly, then leaned forward and fell to the floor. A large group of young students gathered around and called, "Teacher Sue! Teacher Sue!" Teacher Sue fell to the ground, still laughing. If it doesn't work within the troupe, then look for someone from outside the troupe. The first candidate is of course the former leader of the U Opera troupe, who is now the deputy manager of the film company. When he arrived at the bureau conference room, when he heard this, he sang on the spot. Yeah, something bad is going to happen." The bureau chiefs all laughed. Seeing him like that, they thought there might be a chance of success this time. Unexpectedly, when he finished singing, there was still no chance. He said to the bureau chiefs, "Do you want me to be the scapegoat? Isn't it enough that someone named Yang dies?" Lao Yang was originally the deputy leader of the U Opera troupe. When the U Opera troupe was disbanded, the leader of the Wu Opera troupe retired. At that time, the bureau originally wanted Mr. Li to be the leader, but Lao Yang volunteered and asked to be a troupe leader in the Wu Opera troupe. Considering that Lao Yang is a well-spoken person, he was originally the deputy leader of the U Opera troupe who specialized in contacting external performance business. In addition, Teacher Li's original intention was not high, so Lao Yang was finally asked to take over as the leader. What the other party said now, that's what happened. Director Ding said quickly, "Don't talk nonsense. These are two different things. Letting you return to the troupe is also an affirmation of your professional ability. Don't be sure. The U Opera troupe must be full of chicken feathers, so why are you sure?" The old troupe leader looked at several leaders with doubts on his face. "Is someone interested in me as the deputy manager? If you do, just say it clearly and I will give way." Deputy Director Rao, who was present, teased him, "Then why are you going? The troupe doesn't want to go either." The old group leader was stunned for a moment, and then shouted, "I'll go to the entrance of the theater and set up a street stall to perform." After saying that, he stood up and left, leaving everyone in the conference room there. "I think we should let that guy, Zhang Chen, the artist from the troupe, try it. I can see that this kid is still able to control people in the troupe," Deputy Director Tang suggested. Deputy Director Rao agreed, "I think it's okay, treating a dead horse like a living horse. Lao Hu, what's your opinion?" Lao Hu looked at them and just smiled without saying anything. This means that the selection of group leaders is a specific business of your bureau. As the superior unit, the propaganda department will not be too involved. This actually makes it clear that he does not want to go on this trip. Muddy water. Everyone then looked at the newly appointed Director of Culture, who was in his 30s and was originally from the reporting team of the County Party Committee. Last year, a report on the double civilization construction of civilized villages and civilized families in Yongcheng County was published in the People's Daily. Caused a sensation. The Standing Committee of the County Party Committee considered him a rare talent. This year, the Cultural Bureau reorganized its team and appointed him as the Director of Culture. The director also heard about Zhang Chen, half and half. Some were bad, saying he was prickly, and some were good, saying how strong his abilities, mainly painting, were. The director went to the county library on the first floor. When walking around the reading room of the library, the old director would pull him to look at the portraits of Einstein and Lucen on the wall and admire them. "Look, all the spirit and spirit are drawn. These two paintings were both painted by Zhang Chen." The director thought to himself, "If we find a young man to be the leader, maybe the troupe can make some progress. Anyway, I can't find anyone willing to be a doctor now. It's better to be a dead horse as a living horse doctor," as Lao Rao said. "If it doesn't work, then change it." While the director was still thinking, Director Ding spoke, "Zhang Chen is too politically unreliable and daring. If he takes the troupe out, if he does anything outrageous, the impact will not be limited to our county. When the director heard that he was politically unreliable, he immediately recoiled in his heart, especially since this is a sensitive period. He said, "It is right to boldly recruit young people, but we must recruit young people who are politically qualified." Several other people understood this and agreed with Director Ding's opinion. Director Ding was secretly proud, and the two deputy directors could not refute. But the problem is that the Wu opera troupe cannot be without a leader. My opinion is this. Either, before we find a suitable new leader, Director Ding should concurrently serve as the leader of the Wu opera troupe, Deputy Director Rao said. I agree with Lao Rao. As soon as Deputy Director Rao said this, Deputy Director Tang immediately agreed. The director looked at Lao Hu, who was eager to get away as soon as possible, and nodded slightly. Okay, then I'll ask Director Ding to work hard. By the way, during this period, Director Ding can also dig through the troupe to see if there are any other suitable talents. The director agreed. Okay, then I'll go back and report your decision to Minister Li. Lao Hu's words were like another stamp on the director's consent form. Poor Director Ding Begu, in this conference room, he had no right to express his personal opinions whether he agreed or disagreed. And no one would ask for his opinion. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 7. Ding Begu, the part-time team leader, took office. This morning, he was panting while pushing his 28-inch permanent bicycle up the semicircular ramp. He locked his bicycle under the tallow tree, entered the office, and placed his handbag and a long object wrapped in newspaper on the desk. He took out a hammer and nails from the bag, and then put the newspaper outside the object. Opening it, there was a long wooden strip painted with white paint, with the words Regimental Leader's Office written in red paint on it. He moved a stool to the door, stood on the stool, and nailed the wooden strips to the doorframe. Houses in the 1970s were all made of so-called foreign bricks made of clay, not even cement hollow bricks. Nails can be driven in easily. After nailing it, Ding Begu walked to the stairs and looked over. The effect was pretty good. The words "Head of the Office" were clearly visible. Ding Begu walked back with satisfaction. He looked at the two office doors on the side and opposite. They were both ajar. He pushed them open with his hand. There was no one there. There were several broken desks inside, which were filthy. There were newspapers, playing cards, and cigarette butts everywhere on the ground. The mob, Ding Begu cursed. He found a wash basin from under the office cabinet, looked behind the door, and saw a towel hanging. He threw the towel in the wash basin, went to the sink outside, put the wash basin in the sink, turned on the faucet, and he walked to the door of the practice room and looked inside. There was no one inside. He looked at the time and saw that it was already 9:30. He returned to the sink. The basin was full of water. He turned off the faucet. At this time, a child was coming out of the toilet. Ding Begu asked, "Little student, let me ask you, why is no one practicing Qigong now?" The young student glanced at him and cursed, "It's none of your business." Ding Begu was about to get angry, but he thought it was pointless to argue with a child, so he held back, and the child walked away. Ding Begu returned to the office with a basin of water, and wiped out Lao Yang's desk among the two desks. The basin of water was not poured out, so it was placed on the ground. He sat down and took some water from his bag. He took out a pen and a work diary and put them on the table. He picked up the phone on the table and listened. There was no fart sound, so he threw the phone back. He opened the drawers one by one, and they were filled with messy things. There was also a pair of smelly socks stuffed in one drawer. Director Ding Begu was so angry that he pulled out the drawers one by one, dumped everything in the drawers on the floor, and piled them into a pile. The last drawer in the middle had a padlock on it. Ding Begu took the hammer and slammed it. The hammer knocked off the padlock, and it was empty. There were only a few canteen meal tickets, and a stack of Lao Yang's business cards. Under the business card, there was a turned-over photo. Ding Begu picked up the photo and turned it over. He saw that it was a girl. Ding Begu vaguely remembered that she was a less conspicuous actress in the troupe. Rogue, Ding Begu couldn't help but cursed, "If you bastard dares to come back, I will kill you for my style." Ding Begu threw the photo back into the drawer, closed the drawer, looked at the canopy of cannas outside the window, and got sulky. He had been sulking all night last night. He knew the reason why Lao Rao proposed to let him go at the meeting. He also served as the leader of the group entirely because he was too close to the new director. He was using this as an excuse to beat himself up. Ding Begu was so angry that he also thought of a strategy, that is, whatever you Lao Rao wants to do in the office in the future, I will use an excuse to go to work at the Wu opera troupe and drag you to death. On the other hand, Ding Begu has also thought about it. Since he has come to take over the leader, he must find a way to change the current atmosphere of the troupe, let the new director show his ability, and also make Lao Rao, a bastard, angry. Ding Begu sat for more than 10 minutes before Teacher Li walked in. When he saw Ding Begu, he was stunned for a moment, and then shouted, "Master Ding, no, Commander Ding, so early." "It's so early, it's almost lunch," Ding Begu said angrily. Teacher Li stared at the towel in the basin on the floor, then looked behind the door and blurted out, "This is my face towel, oh, forget it, just use it as a rag. Old Li, from now on I will come here to work on the mornings of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. When I am not here, I still have to entrust you to take care of the theater troupe's affairs," Ding Begu and Teacher Li said. "No problem, as long as I'm not allowed to be the leader." "Then it suits you well if you want to take charge of it." "It's impossible. I'm not that material. Lao Yang often said this about me when he was here." "Don't mention that, King, don't mention him." "Okay, don't mention it." Teacher Li remembered something. "Captain Ding, if you come in the morning, who will contact you about the performance?" "Who contacted me before?" "Lao Yang." "Oh, don't mention him." Ding Begu looked at the phone on the table and asked strangely, "The phone didn't ring. How did he contact me?" "Telephone?" "Oh, the phone was out of service 6 months ago due to arrears." Teacher Li smiled, "Yes, if you don't tell me, I haven't noticed yet. I don't even have a phone number. How did I contact him for his performance?" "Ignore this for now." Ding Begu looked at his watch and said to Teacher Li, "First call all the key members of the troupe and let's have a meeting." Teacher Li stood up, walked to the dormitory next to the office, opened the door, gave a list of names, and told the people in the door to call these people to the office because the new team leader wanted to meet with them for a meeting. Teacher Li returned to the office, looked at the wash basin on the floor, squatted down, wrung out the towel, and began to wipe the desk on his side. After he finished wiping, people began to come one after another. Every time they came, when he was alone, Teacher Li told him to find a stool by himself. Lu Ligan was the last one to arrive. Teacher Li told him to find a stool. Lu Ligan shook his head, "Just stand." Lu Ligan stood next to Feng Logui, standing against the wall. Feng Logui moved to the side and gave up half a stool. Lu Ligan sat down, and Feng Logui each took a half-assed seat. "Captain Ding, everyone is here," Teacher Li and Ding Begu said. Ding Begu looked at everyone, frowned, and asked, "Who is that? Where's the artist?" "He's not in the room," someone shouted. "Where did you go during working hours?" Ding Begu asked angrily. "He went to the county party committee guest house and helped paint their conference room. He was invited by the administrative department of the county government office," Teacher Li and Ding Begu said. Ding Begu had nothing to say. Teacher Li quickly said, "We all welcome Captain Ding first." Everyone applauded. Captain Ding raised his hands, palms facing down, and pressed them elastically, as if there were 2 springs under his hands. Captain Ding coughed twice and then began to speak. Everyone here is an important backbone of our troop, and they are also the core of our troop. There is a saying that the power of role models is infinite. I think as long as we here work together as a team, our troop will have great hope. It is possible to change our current appearance and revive the glory of our Yongchengwu opera troupe. There is no need to hide one thing. The current performance market is indeed very sluggish. We are facing many difficulties. However, this difficulty is not faced by our troupe alone. It is a difficulty faced by all theater troupes currently. The Xiaobeiwayu opera troupe is very popular, someone said. Very good, you mentioned the Xiaobeiwayu opera troupe, so let me ask you, everyone here, do you have the confidence to shape our troupe into the second Xiaobeiwa troupe, and a Xiaobeiwawu opera troupe? Ding Begu asked. How can it be so easy? Someone shouted. Easy or not, the key depends on confidence. There is another saying that is very good. There are always more solutions than difficulties. I hope everyone can work together and provide more valuable suggestions, Ding Begu said. Okay, let me make a suggestion, Tan Shahan said. Rehearse new plays and try to participate in the performances and drama festivals of the Ministry of Culture. This is very. Ding Begu lowered his voice and asked Teacher Li next to him, does it cost a lot of money to arrange a new play? At least 100,000, Teacher Li said. Ding Begu trembled for a moment, then calmed down. Well, Tan Shahan's suggestion is very good. New plays will definitely be arranged. However, the top priority right now is whether there is anything that is in line with the actual situation of our group and can change the appearance of our group a good way. Yes, Lu Ligan shouted, let Zhang Chen draw counterfeit coins, and our whole group will go to the street to exchange them. The group will get a 20% commission. Nonsense, Ding Begu shouted, that's illegal. Yes, is it not illegal to starve us to death? Lu Ligan mocked. Captain Ding, when will our wages be paid? Feng Logui shouted. Yes, there are 3 things that a new official should do when he takes office. Commander Ding, if you want one, just use this one first, someone echoed. Ding Begu slapped the table with his hand. We are in a meeting now, why did we mention salary again? Captain Ding, did you receive your salary last month? Lu Ligan asked. Of course I'll take it, Ding Begu said. Then do you know we haven't received it for 3 months, Lu Ligan sneered. Why do you, the Cultural Bureau, collect our wages on time every month, while our wages are flying in the sky? Someone shouted. Flying higher and higher, until I can't see it anymore. Everyone laughed. Ding Begu's head was getting bigger, and he felt that it looked like he wouldn't be able to drive anymore. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 8. After everyone dispersed, Ding Begu picked up the bag on the table and prepared to go back. The pile of rubbish on the ground was still piled there. Teacher Li was still sitting opposite. When Ding Begu passed by the pile of rubbish, he kicked it. Feet, cursed, garbage. I don't know if he was cursing people or really cursing the pile of rubbish. Anyway, Teacher Li heard something in his words and looked up at his back with dissatisfaction. Ding Begu walked out of the office, walked under the tallow tree, unlocked the car, pushed forward 2 steps, and found that both tires were out of air. He looked down and discovered that the valve core had been damaged by someone. Unplugged. He looked into the door and saw the figures of several little ghosts, laughing and running upstairs. Ding Begu sighed and pushed his bicycle down the semicircular ramp. The next morning, Ding Begu gritted his teeth and went to work in the theater troupe again. He pushed the car under the tallow tree and was about to lock the car. After thinking about it, he continued to push it. He pushed it to the gate and he carried him up the steps to the door and pushed him along the corridor towards the office. He looked up at the sign leader's office and felt a little awkward. When he got closer, he saw that someone had used red paint to add a head on top of the word Tuan, a tail underneath, and 2 licks on each side. Legs, the word Tuan turned into a turtle. Dingbegu was so angry that he parked his bicycle in the corridor in front of the office, raised his hand and waved hard, and the sign fell to the ground with a click. In the office, several people exclaimed "Ah!" Dingbegu walked into the office and saw 4 or 5 old ladies sitting inside. After asking, he found out that they were either retirees from the troupe or their family members. They all came to the new troupe leader to ask about their salary, saying that they were at home. "I really can't hold on any longer and am about to go to the streets to beg for food." Teacher Lee didn't know where he was hiding. He didn't show up all morning. Several old ladies surrounded Captain Ding and took turns complaining. In order to deepen their impression, they repeated the complaints over and over again. Captain Ding was extremely annoyed, but he had to smile and don't dare to get angry. He knew that as soon as he got angry, these old women who were still sitting on the stools would immediately sit on the ground. Beating the ground, beating the chest, and beating the sky, 5 energetic old ladies came together. Dingbegu shuddered just thinking about it. It was finally 11 o'clock, and the 5 of them still had no intention of going back. Dingbegu stood up, carried his bag and walked out. Before the old ladies could react, he had already pushed the bicycle out. When the old ladies chased him to the gate, they saw the upper half of Captain Ding's figure getting smaller step by step on the ramp. Dingbegu's career as captain was over after 2 days. He made up his mind, "I will never come to this wretched place. Whoever you love will come." Dingbegu did not go to the troupe, but sat in the bureau office every day. What was strange was that several directors walked in and out, and no one mentioned it. They seemed to have made an appointment and forgot about the troupe. Dingbegu was cautious at first, afraid that people would mention this matter, but later he was eager for someone to mention it. Someone asked him jokingly, "Old Ding, where is your troupe?" Dingbegu saw Deputy Director Rao passing by the door. Dingbegu replied loudly, "I put the troupe to rest." Deputy Director Rao pretended not to hear, and thought to himself, "You are forcing yourself to tell me this. Do you think you can get away with it if you just let it go? This matter has entered a funny situation. The Yongchengwu Opera Troupe already has a leader in name, but the members cannot see their leader. Several directors of the Cultural Bureau clearly know that the current Wu Opera Troupe has a leader. The leader is in name only, but everyone unanimously believes that everything is normal in the Wu Opera Troupe and the leader is performing his duties. The biggest advantage of this kind of tacit understanding is that at least there are not so many troubles in front of us. Anyway, neither the county nor the bureau has long expected the troupe to bring any political achievements to them. It is actually worse than useless. It's a pity to abandon it. The troupe is simply a ball of dogskin plaster that sticks to the body and cannot be shaken off, unless you want to have the experience of disbanding the Wu Opera Troupe all over again. The directors also want to understand that the biggest advantage of the current situation is that if anything happens to the troupe, now there is at least one person who will take the blame, and the blame cannot be directly hit on themselves, or even the leadership's responsibility. The propaganda department of the county party committee, the superior unit of the Cultural Bureau, could also share some of the burden for itself. Dingbegu also served as the group leader. The comrades in the propaganda department at the time also agreed. Of course Dingbegu, the scapegoat, knew the secret. He was shouting because he wanted everyone in the group to know that he had already given up on this leader, but the leaders refused to change. So what can I do? No matter what, let Dingbegu sit in that smelly office again, surrounded by a bunch of old men and old ladies, and talk about the history of blood and tears painfully. Dingbegu will not do it even if he is killed. The worst is for himself. This director is not good enough. If he goes to the theater entrance, he can't sell his art, but he can sell popsicles. In any case, the fact is that the Yongchengwu troupe has really been freed since then. It used to be a fort piled on the sand, but now it has completely fallen into a pool of loose sand. No one was practicing in the practice room. After a while, the young students also secretly fled home. There was no one to teach them here anyway. They were still hungry. At least they had enough to eat when they went home. Teacher Lee was invited by several state-owned enterprises to serve as a guide. They also organized cultural performances and competitions in the province, ministry, and system. While Teacher Lee served as a guide himself, he also brought along pianists and drummers from the troupe to provide guidance. Those amateur actors with thick eyebrows and big eyes accompanied them, and later brought the stage manager with them, along with the troupe's costumes and props, as well as the sets painted by Zhang Chen. The Yongchengwu troupe is not large in scale, but it has a long history after all. Their costumes, from Lin Daiyu and Baogong to those of the new Fourth Army and the Japanese Japs, are all complete, including those box cannons, grenades, and 38 caps made of foam. Complete, this is left over from the rehearsal of gunshots on the plains. If you ask those companies to look for these things, they really can't find them. Therefore, Teacher Lee and the others have become even busier than in the theater troupe. Xiao Zhao, who works in the canteen of a large state-owned enterprise, eats well and has plenty of oil and water. They can take some with them after eating, and the subsidies given are enough to buy rice for the family. Taking advantage of their specialties in props and carpentry, they threw aside their exercise blankets and started directly in the practice room to make sofas for others and make plexiglass lightbox characters on the roof. The business was not bad. The County Federation of Literary and Art Circles was compiling a so-called reportage collection called Models of the Times and asked Lu Ligan to do it. Lu Ligan did the job very well. He felt that writing reportage was similar to making up stories for dead people. It was nothing more than making up stories for dead people. A blowing word. As a result, the farmer who raised more than 300 chickens became a chicken king in his writing. In a linoleum shed, he blended detergents and disinfectants for a while, and once he blew himself up into the sky. Who still has a crooked mouth, became a king of chemical industry in his writing. As for the braised chicken feet seller in the farmer's market, her deeds would probably make the white-bearded grandfather of KFC feel ashamed. Suddenly, Yongcheng County was filled with kings. Model of the Times was very popular with kings and would-be kings. 4 copies were published in one go. The kings paid 500 yuan to Lu Ligan before being interviewed. Lao Meng from the Federation of Literary and Art Circles, after a month, these 500 yuan turned into 100 books with his name, photos, and royal titles, enough to show off among relatives and friends. Lu Ligan wrote a reportage of 5,000 to 6,000 words in 3 days. From Lao Meng, he could get 60 to 70 yuan per article, which was equivalent to more than half a month's salary. Take away, and what about the banquets of the kings? This job is so worth doing. The county film company established an advertising company. They erected a row of 2-story iron billboards at the entrance to Yongcheng County. At that time, there were no UV advertising inkjet printers or photo printers. All advertisements was painted manually, so Zhang Chen climbed up the scaffolding every day and used paint and oil paints to draw advertisements on tin sheets. One day he painted Coca-Cola, the next he painted head/U0026 shoulders. When he painted the youth baby advertisement, he made the girl in the white tennis skirt on the picture lifelike, exactly like the one on TV, attracting passers-by and people driving by. The driver couldn't help but take a few more glances. And the driver, because he was staring at the smiling girl, rear-ended him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 9. Every early morning, after the rooster crows for 3 rounds, Tan Shahen gets up. Lu Ligan knows that she is going downstairs to hang her voice. Lu Ligan curses, the show is gone, so why hang her voice? Tan Shahen rolled her eyes at him and said, "Whether I'm acting or not, I have to be able to live up to my voice." Lu Lizan fell on the bed and let her go. He knew that he couldn't be serious with Tan Shahen, otherwise he would lose. Tan Shahen was a very serious person. Tan Shahen returned under the tallow tree and started babbling. After persisting like this for more than a week, Suji and Mei also went downstairs. The two of them nodded, and Suji and Mei stood under the camphor tree and started babbling together. Later, Feng Logui also came down. He stood in the open space between the two people. He was not babbling, but oh. When these three classmates from the student class opened their voices, the people in the troupe felt relieved this morning, and understood that they were still in the troupe, and the troupe was still there. There were several retired old artists lying on the bed listening to. As I listened, I burst into tears. Half of the residents in Yongcheng County know that the troupe is fine when they hear their voices every day, but they are just wondering why they haven't toured for so long. After being taken care of by Director Ding, the Wu opera troupe turned into a pile of loose sand, which spread to every corner of Yongcheng County. They went down the semicircular ramp in the morning and came up from there in the evening, as if it was not their unit, but just them. When they return to their nest, their units are located everywhere down the slope. Only at night will they go uphill to go home like tired birds. It's deserted during the day, but only at night does Gaohong become lively. Every night, Lu Ligan would move out a table and place it under the tallow tree. Then he would run down to the small shop below and buy a bottle of Qianbaishao liquor for 80 cents a bottle and a large bag of peanuts for 50 cents each. And a can of coconut juice, go back to Gaohong. After a while, the same people every day will come out of the building with stools. The first is Tan Shahen. If Lu Ligan interviews another king today, Tan Shahen will bring the food sent by the kings. If not, she will just bring one. Bamboo chairs, Zhang Chen and Jin Lily, will bring a large plastic basket of salted edamame, or a basin of fried snails. Suji and Mei brought nothing but a stool and water. She said that this was what Lu Lizan owed her. She had promised her when she was in Wenzhou that she would return to Yongcheng, where she could eat well and drink as much as she wanted. Gangzi, I am so interesting, I have it, she said. Didn't say it casually. Lu Ligan said yes, this debt to the king of hell would never be repaid in his lifetime. Feng Logui also brought nothing but a stool. He also wanted to drink Lu Lepol's Qianbaishao. His reason was more legitimate. He said that compared with you nouveau riche, I am now a poor person who can't walk without wind. The lower middle peasants need relief. Every night, there are 6 of them, and there are countless others who stand aside for a while, grabbing a handful of peanuts or salted edamame, and taking a sip of wine from Zhang Chen or Lu Li's cup. If you attend the banquet temporarily, you will bring your own food and drinks. In the middle of the night, there were even more surprises and scares. The few martial arts students in the Wu opera troupe had nothing to do in the troupe and had no food to eat, so they had to go out into the society to make a living. The so-called making a living depended on their abilities, that is, helping others fight. At the beginning, they worked as pawns under others. Later, a few people made a name for themselves in the world and began to lead Maze. From the Wu opera troupe. These 4 words have become somewhat intimidating on the streets of Yongcheng. Even retired old men and women from the troupe will say, I am from the Wu opera troupe when they have an argument with someone at the farmer's market, and the other person's voice suddenly changes. It got smaller. Zhang Chen and the others were sitting and drinking. When they saw 4 or 5 of them coming back, carrying roasted chicken, roasted duck, marinated intestines, and wine, they knew that they had won the battle today. We sat down and drank together. We were more impressive outside. When we came back here, they called Zhang Chen Brother Chen, Lu Ligan called Brother Ganzi, and Feng Logui didn't call him brother, but uncle and Uncle Logui. At first, Feng Logui was still puzzled and asked them, why should I be given an elder? They laughed and said, "Look at you with your jade trees facing the wind and your orchid fingers. If you want to fight, you will lose your life. Aren't you always going to lose?" If they call again, Fenglogui will be embarrassed to talk to them anymore, and can only hesitate and half response shyly. Regardless of whether it is Tan Shahen, Jin Lily, or Su Jianmei, they all take the last character of their names and add a sister. The three of them are very happy to hear it, and they sound quack-like. Occasionally, there would be a flurry of footsteps below Gao Hong, and several people would run up out of breath. Those sitting and drinking would know that they had lost the battle, and there were pursuers behind them. Tan Shahen would shout, "Someone is bullying the theater troupe." From the building, many people would rush out with their weapons and block the top of the slope. When the people below saw so many people emerging with knives and guns, if they dared to come up, they turned around and dispersed. How did they know that these knives and guns were props? The people in the troupe have been away from home for many years, eating in the same pot and making floors in the same room. Over time, they will subconsciously feel like family members. When this happens, regardless of gender, young or old, they will come forward. Because of this, the reputation of those little guys is even greater. People can knock on your door, but you can't come to your door to settle accounts with them. How to fight this fight? It's better not to mess with people like this. The theater troupe is left free day by day, the clouds are moving, the wind is blowing, and the days are passing by, but people are always unwilling to accept it. Damn it, if you write this for a few more months, everyone in Yongchen will become kings, right? Zhang Chen scolded. Then what should I do? I have a wife to support, and she needs to drink coconut juice every day. I also need 1,000 cups of coconut water. If I don't write about the king, how can I live? Lu Lizan glanced at Tan Shahen and said. Go away, I don't want you to raise me, Tan Shahen cursed, almost throwing the empty coconut juice can in her hand. What about you? Are you going to climb the scaffolding every day? I think you are almost as good as the migrant workers who paint the walls now. Lu Ligan looked at Zhang Chen and said. He also has a wife to support. Jin Lily said, I'm announcing an inside news that our factory will be closed soon. Really? Su Jianmei asked. The few original supply and salesmen in our factory have all gone out to set up factories on their own. Every factory does better work than ours and the prices are cheaper. All the orders have gone there, and we have no way to survive, Jin Lily said. What are you afraid of? You are not a state-owned enterprise. If you fail, the state will take care of it, Tan Shahen said. Fart, irking, the county collective, will fall down when it falls. At most, it will be like the people from the U Opera troupe, who go to the county government every day to cause trouble, Jin Lily said. Oh, it's true, I really don't want to be like these old men and old ladies, but look at our troupe, I'm so good at it, alas, Su Jianmei sighed heavily. Zhang Chen kept drinking and didn't speak. Jin Lily kicked him under the table and said, Hey, why don't you speak? Zhang Chen looked up at everyone and put the glass on the table. Shall we go out and have some adventures too? Everyone was shocked. Lu Ligan looked at him and said, Zhang Chen, what did you say? I said, let's go out and have a try. Zhang Chen looked at them and said, Su Jianmei is right. Our troupe has no hope. I stand on the scaffolding every day and look at the cars with foreign license plates. There are Anhui, yes, there are some from Hunan, and I have seen some from Xinjiang, as far away as possible. I was thinking, we have hands and feet, why are we not as good as a car? People from all over the world have come here, and we are still holding back in this shabby place and sighing. What's the use? The world is so big, why can't we go out and explore? Will we still starve to death? Okay, where are you going? I'll follow you if you go, Jin Lily shouted. That's not right, Zhang Chen. In Kangnan, the owner of the photo studio incited you to go to Wenzhou, And you even scolded him, Lu Ligan said. That's Wenzo. It's too small. If we want to go, we'll go to a big place, Zhang Chen said. Where to go? Shenzhen, Lu Ligan asked. Shenzhen is no longer available. My neighbors have been there and they all came back, Feng Logui said. That's because your neighbor is useless, Jin Lily said. Go to Hainan. When I was painting the scene in those days, I thought, I must go to this place in my life, lie on the beach, and wait for the coconuts to fall from the trees and smash my head, Zhang Chen said. Okay. Let's go to Hainan, Jin Lily shouted. I'll go with you too, Suji and me, I said. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 10. Okay, the more people, the better. We all have company. Jin Lily became excited when she heard Suji and Mi's words. What about you, Tan Shahen, are you going? You mean to go to this place? Tan Shahen picked up the coconut juice can and asked them. Zhang Chen said yes. Tan Shahen smiled and said, then I will go too, and I will have coconuts to drink every day. Oh, Jin Lily and Suji and Mi both cheered. Zhang Chen looked at Lu Ligan, and Lu Ligan also looked at him and asked, what do you think I am doing? Can such a good thing leave me behind? How can a small place like Yongcheng comfort me? Lu Ligan, this turbulent heart. Only Feng Logui sat there silently. Zhang Chen asked him, Logui, are you going? I can't go. I'm the only child at home. If I go that far away, my mother will cry to death, Feng Logui said. Damn it, I asked you to go to Hainan, but I didn't ask you to go to the battlefield, and you still cry, you crier, Jin Lily cursed dissatisfiedly. You don't dare to go yourself, Suji and me, I teased. Feng Logui smiled sheepishly. He thought for a moment and raised his glass. I am here, wishing you success. Everyone raised their glasses. Tan Shahen had finished drinking the coconut juice. She poured a little water from Suji and Mi into the glass. After everyone clinked their glasses, they drank it all. How do we get there? Tan Shahen asked. How to get there? Lu Ligan glanced at her and started singing, packed up the bag, put on the white jeans, pretended to be serious about saying goodbye, and told Mom that I wanted to go away from home for a few days. You are sick, Tan Shahen scolded, I was asking for directions. Tomorrow I will go to the bookstore and buy a national atlas. When we come back, we will plan the route, Zhang Chen said. What about the group? It doesn't matter if we just leave like this, right, Suji and Mi asked. Whatever, it doesn't matter if you stay here and you don't have anything to eat, Lu Ligan shouted. Tan Shahen thought for a while and then said, we'd better ask for leave from the regiment first. If it doesn't work well, we will come back. Okay, if it's good we won't come back, Lu Ligan shouted. Tan Shahen stood up, I'll call Teacher Li. Tan Shahen ran into the building, and after a while, she pushed Teacher Li downstairs. Teacher Li was wearing a pair of big pants, a sweat vest full of holes, and holding a big cattail leaf fan in her hand. She was obviously lifted from the bed by Tan Shahen. Screamed. Upon seeing this, Lu Ligan quickly stood up and gave his stool to Teacher Li. He took Tan Shahen's cup, ran to the sink and rinsed it with tap water, then came back and placed it in front of Teacher Li. Zhang Chen quickly gave it to Teacher Li. 1,000 cups filled with 1/3 of a cup is less. When Lu Ligan went to the sink to wash the cups, Feng Logui had already gone to an open door in the building, brought out a stool, and Lu Ligan also sat down. Zhang Chen and Lu Lipol toasted Teacher Li's wine. Teacher Li took a sip, put down the glass and asked. Tell me, there's something important. Lu Ligan told Teacher Li that they wanted to go to Hainan. They expected that Teacher Li would say that they were not doing their jobs properly, but they did not expect that Teacher Li agreed as soon as he heard it. It was also during this time that he led a group of people to various factories and mines. His eyes were opened and his mind was alive. He said to them. People live when they move, but trees die when they move. Why are you so young, sitting in this damn place? You should just go out and have fun. If I were the same age as you, I would have gone out long ago. Did the group agree to our request for leave? Tan Shahan asked. Ask for leave? What kind of leave? Who can I ask for? Teacher Lee asked curiously. I'm looking for you. I'm asking for half a month's leave. Let's go take a look first, Tan Shahan said. You have no use for me, so who am I? I'm not the group leader. Besides, who cares about whom now? It's not the same thing whether you invite me or not, Teacher Lee said while fanning a big cattail leaf fan. In that group, won't we be considered absent from work? Suji and me, I asked. Absenteeism? Who is absent from work? Our Captain Ding has only been here for 2.5 days. Have you seen him come to work since then? He has never come to work. Has anyone ever recorded him as absent from work? Teacher Lee asked. If you want to let him go, you have to let him go first. Awesome, Lu Li raised his thumb and praised. Sure enough, Ginger is still hotter than ever. Teacher Lee took another sip of wine and became more enthusiastic. Besides, what if I'm absent from work? At worst, my salary will be deducted. Can you deduct your salary if you have it? Yes, Suji and me, I was relieved. I forgot about this. Inspired by Teacher Lee, several young people immediately decided to leave on the third day. Teacher Lee had been to Guangdong when he was young and had a better impression of that area than they did. He told them that Hainan had just been established as a province. Before it was established, it was a region of Guangdong. If you want to go to Hainan, you should first go to Hangzhou or Jinhua, take a train to Guangzhou, and then go to Zhanjiang. When you get to Zhanjiang, you will be opposite Hainan Island, very close. Zhang Chen and the others discussed for a long time and felt that it might be easier to buy train tickets from Hangzhou to Guangzhou. Since Jinhua was only a passing train, tickets must be tight, so they decided to go to Hangzhou first. When he woke up the next morning, Zhang Chen looked at Jin Lily, who hadn't gotten up yet. Today was not Sunday. Zhang Chen shook her. Hey, wake up, you're late. Jin Lily muttered, if you don't go, aren't you going to Hainan? Zhang Chen couldn't help but laugh. Or did you come quickly and be in a state of combat readiness today? Jin Lily opened her eyes slightly and said to him, don't make any noise. I just dreamed that we were on the beach. The sea water in Hainan is so blue. Zhang Chen sat up and thought about it, so he shook her awake. You are a cashier and you have to leave tomorrow. Don't you have to hand over today? What the hell, it's been a week. I only have 13 cents in cash in my drawer. I don't even bother to lock it. Whoever wants it can take it, Jin Lily scolded. Zhang Chen almost laughed. Well, such a broken unit is worse than a troop, just let it fend for itself. Zhang Chen got up, went downstairs to brush his teeth, washed his face, and rode a broken bicycle to the advertising company below the film company. He told the manager that he was going out and that he had no time to draw any more advertisements. The other party felt sorry for him. Eyes wide open. What, the troupe has a performance? Zhang Chen mumbled a few words and dealt with it. He went next door and paid 243 yuan from the cashier of the advertising company. He put the money in his hip pocket and rode his bicycle to Xinhua bookstore. He asked the salesperson to bring him an atlas of China with a red plastic cover, and turned to the penultimate province of Hainan. After looking at it, Hainan Island was indeed as Teacher Lee said, just opposite Zhanjiang, Kiangzhu. The strait is only a little wide. Zhang Chen looked at the price on the last page, 1 yuan and 1 dime. Zhang Chen couldn't bear to part with it, thinking that this money was almost equal to the entire cash of 10 Yongcheng bearing factories. He hesitated for a long time, and finally returned the map book to the salesperson. Isn't it just Hangcheng, Guangzhou and Zhanjiang? How could such a simple route be wrong? This map book still takes up space in the bag. He comforted himself like this. Zhang Chen got on the car and walked slowly back along the street lined with French plane trees. Thinking of what he had just done, he laughed. When did he care so much about more than 1 yuan? However, since he decided to go to Hainan, Zhang Chen has been counting all his money since last night. He regrets that he was too squandering and had no savings. When he was about to go out, he saw how big the money was. Zhang Chen bought big cakes and fried dough sticks from the small shop below the theater troupe. When he returned to the room, Jin Lily was sitting on the bed in a daze. Zhang Chen asked. What, you don't want to sleep anymore? What a pity. Jin Lily stared at him with her eyes wide open, and shouted as if she was waking up from a dream, I got up earlier to look for a swimsuit, and wanted to wear the swimsuit and continue sleeping. As a result, I couldn't find the swimsuit, and I couldn't go back to the dream. Zhang Chen almost burst out laughing. Jin Lily ducked out of the bed, jumped forward, and rode on Zhang Chen's back from the end of the bed, shouting loudly. I'm going to Hainan, I'm going to Hainan, oh oh oh, we're going to Hainan.